I'm Jeremy. Today's day 350 of reading. Today reading Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Let's get started. We are currently on page 35. Let's go. For God's sake, roared Uncle Vernon, pulling great clumps of hair out of his mustache. Something he hadn't been driven to in a long time. I will not have owls here. I will not tolerate this, I tell you. But Harry was already pulling a roll of parchment from the owl leg. He was so convinced that this letter had to be from Dumbledore, explaining everything, the Dementors, Mrs. Fig, what the Ministry was up to, how he, Dumbledore, intended to sort everything out. That for the first time in his life he was disappointed to see Cyrus's handwriting. Ignoring Uncle Vernon's ongoing rant about owls and narrowing his eyes against a second cloud of dust as the most recent owl took off back up the chimney. Harry read Cyrus's message. Arthur just told us what's happened. Don't leave the house again, whatever you do. Harry found this such an inadequate response to everything that had happened tonight that he turned the piece of parchment over, looking for the rest of the letter. But there was nothing there, and now his temper was rising again. Wasn't anybody going to say well done for fighting off two Dementors single-handedly? Both Mr. Weasley and Cyrus were acting as though he'd misbehaved, and they were saving their telling us until they could ascertain how much damage had been done. A pack of owls shooting in and out of my house, and I won't have it, boy. I won't. I can't stop the owls coming, Harry snapped, crushing Cyrus's letter in his fist. I want the truth about what happened tonight, barked Uncle Vernon. If it was Dementors who hurt Julie, how come you've been expelled? You know what? You've admitted it. Harry took a deep, steadying breath. His head was beginning to ache again. He wanted more than anything to get out of the kitchen. I did the Patronus charm to get rid of Dementors, he said, forcing himself to remain calm. It's the only thing that works against them. But what were Dementoids doing in Little Winging? Said Uncle Vernon in tones of outrage. Couldn't tell you, said Harry wearily. No idea. His head was pounding in the glare of the strip lighting now. His anger was ebbing away. He felt drained, exhausted. The Dursleys were all staring at him. It's you, said Uncle Vernon forcefully. It's got something to do with you, boy. I know it. Why else would they turn up here? Why else would they be that alleyway? You've got to be the only. Evidently he couldn't bring himself to say the wizard. The only you-know-what for miles. I don't know why they were here, but at these words of Uncle Vernon's, Harry's exhausted brain grounded back into action. Why had the Dementors come to Little Winging? How could it be a coincidence that they had arrived in the alleyway where Harry was? Had they been sent? Had the Ministry of Magic lost control of the Dementors? Had they deserted Azkaban and joined Voldemort, as Dumbledore had predicted they would? The Decembers guard some weirdo's prison? Decembers? Very weird reference, said Uncle Vernon, lumbering in the wake of Harry's train of thought. Yes, said Harry. If only his head would stop hurting. If only he could just leave the kitchen and get to his dark bedroom and think. Oh ho, they were coming to arrest you, said Uncle Vernon with the triumphant air of a man reaching an unassailable conclusion. That's it, isn't it, boy? You're on the run from law. Of course I'm not, said Harry, shaking his head as though to scare off a fly, his mind racing now. Then why? He must have sent them, said Harry quietly, more to himself than Uncle Vernon. What's that? Who must have sent them? Lord Voldemort, said Harry. He registered dimly how strange it was that the Dursleys, who flinched, winced, and squawked if they heard words like wizard, magic, or wand, could hear the name of the most evil wizard of all time without the slightest tremor. Lord, hang on, said Uncle Vernon, his face screwed up, a look of dawning comprehension in his piggy eyes. I've heard that name. That was the one who murdered my parents. Yes, Harry said dully. But he's gone, said Uncle Vernon impatiently, without the slightest sign that the murder of Harry's parents might be a painful topic to anybody. That giant bloke said so. He's gone. He's back, said Harry heavily. It felt very strange to be standing here in Aunt Petunia's surgically clean kitchen beside the top of the range fridge and the widescreen television and talking calmly of Lord Voldemort to Uncle Vernon. The arrival of the Dementors in Little Winking seemed to have caused a breach in the great invisible wall that divided the relentlessly non-magical world of Privet Drive and the world beyond. Harry's two lives had somehow become fused and everything had been turned upside down. The Dursleys were asking for details about Magical World, and Mrs. Figg knew Albus Dumbledore. The Dementors were soaring around Little Winking, and he might never go back to Hogwarts. Harry's head throbbed more painfully. Back? Whispered Aunt Petunia. She was looking at Harry as though she had never looked at him before. And all of a sudden, for the very first time in his life, Harry fully appreciated that Aunt Petunia was his mother's sister. He could not have said why this hit him so powerfully at this moment. All he knew was that he was not the only person in the room who had an inkling of what Voldemort being back might mean. Aunt Petunia had never in her life looked at him like that before. Her large, pale eyes, so unlike her sister's, were not narrowed in dislike or anger. They were wide and fearful. The furious pretense that Aunt Petunia had maintained all Harry's life. There was no magic in no world other than the world she inhabited with Uncle Vernon seemed to have fallen away. Yes, Harry said, talking directly to Aunt Petunia now. He came back a month ago. I saw him. Her hands found Dudley's massive leather-clad shoulders and clutched them. Hang on, said Uncle Vernon, looking from his wife to Harry and back again, apparently dazed and confused by the unprecedented understanding that seemed to have sprung up between them. Hang on, this Lord Voldy thing's back, you say? Yes. The one who murdered your parents? Yes. And now he's sending dismembers after you? Looks like it, said Harry. I see, said Uncle Vernon, looking from his white-faced wife to Harry and hitching up his trousers. He seemed to be swelling, his gray-purple face stretching before Harry's eyes. Well, that settles it, he said, his shirt from straining as he inflated himself. You can get out of this house, boy. What? Said Harry. You heard me. Out! Said Uncle Vernon bellowed, and even Aunt Petunia and Julie jumped. Out! Out! I should have done it years ago. Owl's treating this place like a rest home, puddings exploding, half the lounge destroyed, Dudley's tail, Marge bobbing around on the ceiling, and that flying Ford in Anglia. Out! Out! You've had it. Your history. You're not staying here if some loony's after you. Oh, you're not endangering my wife and son. You're not bringing trouble down on us. If you're going the same way as your useless parents, I've had it. Out! Harry stood rooted to the spot. The letter from the ministry, Mr. Weasley and Cyrus were crushed in his left hand. Don't leave the house again. Whatever you do, do not leave your aunt and uncle's house. You heard me, said Uncle Vernon, bending forward now so that his massive purple face came closer to Harry, so that Harry actually felt flecks of spit his face. Get going. You were all keen to leave half an hour ago. I'm right behind you. Get out and never darken our doorstep again. Why we ever kept you in the first place, I don't know. Marge was right. It should have been the orphanage. We were too damn soft for our own good. Thought we could squash it out of you. Thought we could turn you normal, but you've been rotten from the beginning. And I've had enough. Owls! The fifth owl zoomed down the chimney so fast it actually hit the floor before zooming into the air again with a loud screech. Harry raised his hand to seize the letter, which was in a scarlet envelope, but it soared straight over his head, flying directly at Aunt Petunia, who let out a scream and ducked, her arms over her face. The owl dropped the red envelope in her hands, turned and flew straight up the chimney again. Harry darted forward to pick up the letter, but Aunt Petunia beat him to it. You can open it if you like, said Harry, but I'll hear what it says anyway. That's a howler. Thank you, everyone. That's all for today. Bye. See you tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to read page 40. Bookmark today's. Peace out.